What if beauty could be made not from what we buy, but from what we already have? What if every forgotten cup, every rusted chair, every weathered bottle could bloom again, not as trash, but as a part of your garden story? Welcome to TERAFLORA Studio, a space where imagination meets the soil, and where ordinary things are reborn as extraordinary moments of design. Here, we believe that gardens are not only places of growth, but also places of wonder, living canvases where creativity and care are stitched into every corner. In this video, you will see ideas gathered gently and shaped into inspiration. Projects that are humble, practical, and soulful. Some made from teacups, others from chairs, even from simple jars and scattered stones. They are not instructions carved in stone, but invitations. Invitations to notice, to repurpose, to create beauty with your own hands. And it is important to share with you, clearly and honestly. All of the visuals and concepts in this content have been arranged and composed with the help of AI tools. That means you may notice small details that aren't quite exact, or objects imagined in ways that bend reality. Please receive them as sparks of inspiration rather than precise blueprints. What matters most is how you choose to make them your own, using what you already have in the space you already tend. If you find peace here, if you feel inspired to bring even one of these ideas into your own life, I gently invite you to subscribe. Not for numbers, but for connection. Each comment, each like, each subscription helps this quiet dream continue to grow. So settle in. Let the light fall softly. Let us walk together into a garden where nothing is wasted, and everything has a chance to bloom again. There is a certain kind of joy that comes from seeing color stitched into the soil, not just from flowers but from the most unexpected of materials. Along the edge of a garden bed, tiny bursts of red, green, blue, and gold peek out from the earth, arranged carefully into patterns that shimmer whenever the sun leans in. What once closed a bottle now frames a garden, telling a story of playfulness and patience. A childlike wonder lives in these bottle-cap mosaics. Each cap pressed into cement becomes more than refuse. It becomes a tile in a garden tapestry. A circle of blues reminds you of ocean waves. A scatter of red and yellow looks like fallen petals frozen in stone. The path no longer feels like a mere walkway. It becomes a ribbon of memory, inviting anyone who passes to pause and smile at the tiny pieces stitched together with care. The plants themselves seem to lean toward this border. Marigolds nod as if approving the playful edge. Lavender spills its scent over the colors, and herbs like basil and thyme grow happily inside the framed patch of soil. Practicality and beauty meet here. While the caps help define a bed, they also spark conversation, reminding everyone that creativity can bloom from what most would discard. To make such a border, the trick is not perfection but imagination. Collecting bottle caps over time adds variety. Metallic ones that gleam in sunlight, plastic ones that hold bold colors, even weathered caps with scratches that tell their own small stories. Arranging them into wet cement is like painting with what the world has thrown away. Let them dry beneath the open air. Then step back and see how your garden suddenly carries laughter within its edges. It is not just a decoration. It is a reminder that nothing is too small to matter, that even the simplest objects, forgotten and ordinary, can be given another chapter. As you walk the path bordered with mosaics, perhaps you will hear the soft crunch of gravel and notice the bottle caps sparkling like captured drops of sunlight. And maybe you will feel lighter, as though your garden has whispered back to you. Beauty is never lost, only waiting to be found again. In the quiet of a summer morning, when sunlight drips gently through branches and the air feels soft with promise, a garden reveals its secrets not on the ground, but suspended above. Hanging planters are little pockets of wonder, caught between earth and sky. They dangle gently, moving with the wind, whispering that beauty doesn't always belong in the soil. It can rise, it can float. A humble colander, once a servant in the kitchen, now becomes a cradle for flowers. Its perforated dome allows ivy to tumble like green waterfalls, while petunias bloom in delicate cascades of color. With every breeze, they sway together like dancers in midair. What once drained water now holds life, reminding us that utility can be reborn as poetry. Nearby, a weathered drawer, pale with chipped paint, hangs from thick jute ropes. Its once rigid corners are softened by trailing succulents, their plump leaves spilling like secrets over the edges. The drawer looks as if it drifted out of a storybook, pausing midair to rest against the warmth of a brick wall. Each plant within it feels perfectly at home, framed by wood that has known many years, now carrying stories in green. And then there is the chandelier of the garden, a wire basket reborn, swaying gently under a pergola. Instead of candles, it holds recycled tin cans wrapped neatly in jute, each filled with moss and herbs. When the sun filters through vines above, tiny beams catch the leaves, casting playful shadows on the ground below. It is a scene of gentle theater, nature's own performance staged on ordinary things given new meaning. These floating planters do more than decorate. They free up space in small yards, bring life closer to eye level, and create layers in the garden story. They invite birds to perch, butterflies to pause, and people to look upward, perhaps with surprise and delight. The beauty lies not in the perfection of craft, but in the willingness to see differently. A colander as a fountain of blooms, a drawer as a suspended garden, a basket as a chandelier of herbs. They tell us that gardens aren't bound by the ground. They can climb, they can fly, and in every sway, in every rustle of leaves above, they remind us to dream a little higher. Every garden has its own rhythm, a quiet song that shifts with the seasons. Yet within this living orchestra, a gentle hand can add its own notes of charm, through signs and markers that not only guide but also speak softly of wonder. There is something enchanting about an old silver spoon reborn as a storyteller. Once tarnished and forgotten at the back of a kitchen drawer, it now stands proudly among herbs, stamped with names that shimmer in sunlight. Mint, basil, sage. Each one feels like a crown given to its plant, a recognition of its role in the small green kingdom. The spoons do not simply label, they honor. Just beyond, a wooden plank leans with quiet confidence against a garden fence. Painted in soft pastels, its words read, "Grow Magic." The edges are imperfect, the paint slightly uneven, yet it hums with sincerity. Around its base, daisies and lavender lean in as if they, too, believe in its message. A few hand-painted mushrooms dot the soil, and suddenly this corner feels less like an ordinary backyard and more like the beginning of a story. And then, scattered throughout the vegetable beds, small chalkboard tags dangle from twine. They dance lightly in the breeze, carrying words written in whimsical script: tomato, pepper, lettuce. They make the garden feel like a bustling little marketplace. Each row of plants carefully introduced, each green sprout given a name and place in the tale. The practical side of markers is simple. They help us remember what we've planted and where. But their deeper gift is in the way they make a garden feel more alive, more intentional, more loved. To walk among them is to sense that every plant matters, that nothing grows unnoticed. Creating such signs doesn't ask for expensive tools. A spoon, a scrap of wood, a bit of chalkboard paint. All it takes is a willingness to play, to add words where silence once stood. They don't need to be perfect, only heartfelt. And in the end, they leave more than labels behind. They leave a whisper of your presence, your care, your joy etched into the garden's daily rhythm. When you pause to read them, you don't just see a name. You feel an invitation to slow down, to believe in small magic, to see your garden not only as soil and plants, but as a place of stories waiting to be told. Some pieces of furniture carry memories in their wood and fabric. The creak of a chair once used daily, the drawer that once held letters, the bench where someone paused to watch the world. Time may have worn them down, but in the garden, they find their second breath. In one corner, a wicker chair rests beneath dappled light, its woven seat replaced by burlap that cradles lavender and ivy. The chair, too fragile now for sitting, has become something else entirely, a throne of blossoms. The lavender rises like soft purple smoke, while ivy spills over the edges in green ribbons. The chair does not mourn its old use. It stands proudly as a bearer of new life. Against a fence, an old drawer has been reborn. Its face, patched together with broken ceramic pieces, glimmers in patterns of white and blue. Inside, marigolds open their golden faces to the sun, while succulents sit contentedly in their bed of soil. It is a reminder that nothing is ever too broken to be beautiful again, that even fragments can form a mosaic worth admiring. Beneath a blooming apple tree, a bench sits patiently, its seat now occupied by baskets brimming with herbs. Mint and rosemary release their fragrance when brushed by the breeze. Thyme peeks out with tiny green sprigs. Petals drift down like confetti, decorating the scene with a grace no artist could plan. The bench is no longer for resting bodies. It is for resting eyes, offering a view that soothes simply by existing. Repurposing vintage furniture is less about crafting perfection and more about listening. Listening to what an old chair, drawer, or bench might still want to become. With just a few adjustments, they step into new roles with dignity and charm. And for the gardener, these transformations carry more than practicality. They carry poetry. They remind us that beauty doesn't always demand something new. Sometimes, it's hidden in what we already have, waiting for hands willing to imagine differently. So the next time you find a chair too worn to sit upon, or a drawer missing its place indoors, pause before discarding it. In the garden, these pieces may bloom again, not as they were, but as something richer, old souls carrying new life. There is a sound in the garden that soothes like no other. The quiet fall of water, threading through leaves and stone, carrying with it a sense of calm that lingers. Rain chains and water features are not just decoration. They are the voices of the sky, caught and guided by human hands into something tender and timeless. Imagine pastel colanders, once companions in kitchens, now strung together like playful bells. Rain threads its way through their tiny holes, each droplet catching the light before falling into a shallow glass bowl below. Moss curls at the edges, ferns stretch toward the mist, and the whole scene feels like a secret corner from a fairy tale. The sound is delicate, a soft clinking chorus that turns even the smallest rain into music. Nearby, a row of tin buckets sways from a pergola beam. They are linked by copper chains, each one angled to spill into the next. As rain travels downward, the rhythm builds, a steady cascade that ends in a birdbath where daisies nod and lavender sways. The buckets, once plain and ordinary, now shine with new purpose. In every drop, they echo the old truth that beauty can be born from the simplest of things. Against a mossy stone wall, a tower of vintage teapots leans gracefully, each spout pouring into the one below. Their surfaces, mismatched and weathered, shimmer as water runs through them. The final teapot empties into a small pond alive with lily pads, petals drifting lazily across its surface. The scene feels almost enchanted, as if the wall itself had decided to pour out stories through these vessels of another time. Rain chains and water features are more than projects. They are moments captured. Raindrops slowed down, redirected, made into something visible and soothing. They invite you to stand still, to listen, to let the sound of falling water draw away the weight of the day. Creating them doesn't ask for wealth, only imagination. A few colanders, some tin buckets, or even teapots long past their kitchen days. With rain, they come alive, and in their song, your garden finds a heartbeat, a rhythm that continues even when silence falls again. Sometimes, the most enchanting places are not vast landscapes but tiny corners where imagination lingers. A miniature fairy garden does not shout for attention. It waits quietly, asking only that you lean closer, that you notice. In these small worlds, whimsy feels alive, and the garden becomes a stage for stories unseen. On a wooden table, a glass bowl holds more than soil. Inside, pebbles trace a winding path beneath a twig archway, where a delicate fairy figurine seems to have paused mid-step. Moss cushions the scene, soft as velvet, and the way sunlight filters through the glass makes it shimmer like a dream caught between breaths. It feels almost possible that if you waited long enough, the figure might move, continuing her walk into the mossy forest within. In a shady corner, a mossy stump becomes a gathering place. A table made from a bottle cap rests in the center, its legs built from twigs, surrounded by chairs crafted from corks. Crystals scattered across the surface catch the light, frozen droplets that look like fairy dew. Clover leaves lean in as if they were giant trees, making the little table feel like the heart of a hidden woodland lounge. The air itself seems quieter here, as though waiting for laughter too small for human ears. And just beyond, teacups once mismatched and forgotten now glow with new life. Painted with tiny doors and windows, they become cottages nestled in moss. Pebbled paths connect them like village lanes, and daisies bloom nearby as if offering welcome. In the golden glow of evening, the scene feels alive, as though the teacups really do hold stories within. These whimsical vignettes remind us that beauty is not always measured by size. They invite us to create, to play, to build something not for utility but for joy. A cork, a stone, a cup, all simple things reborn into wonder when placed with care. Perhaps the greatest gift of fairy gardens is how they teach us to slow down, to kneel closer, to look with softer eyes, to believe, if only for a moment, that magic can be held in the palm of your hand. And in that belief, the garden itself becomes more than a place to grow. It becomes a place to dream. As daylight fades and the hush of twilight settles in, a garden begins to change. Its colors soften, its edges blur, and with the right kind of light, it transforms into something almost otherworldly. Night, after all, doesn't have to bring an end to beauty. It can reveal a softer, quieter side of it. Along a winding garden path, mason jars hang like captured fireflies. Each one cradles a solar light nestled in white pebbles, glowing with warmth that guides each step. The light is gentle, never harsh, painting the ground in soft halos. Walking here feels like entering a secret place, where the air itself seems filled with promise. Beneath a pergola wrapped in vines, old wire lampshades hang like chandeliers of memory. Once forgotten in thrift stores, they now bloom with fairy lights, golden threads woven inside their rustic frames. The light pools softly over a table below, where evenings stretch long, laughter lingers, and conversations feel endless. The vines above move gently, their shadows dancing across the lampshades like quiet applause. And then, higher up in the trees, wire baskets shimmer with dangling crystals. Each crystal catches the glow of hidden bulbs, scattering rainbow flecks across leaves and stone. The effect is dreamlike, as though moonlight had been broken into pieces and scattered across the garden. Standing here, one can't help but pause, because beauty, when caught in such fragments, makes the night itself feel enchanted. The magic of thrift lighting lies in its simplicity. A jar, a basket, an old lampshade, each found, not bought new, each carrying a story before becoming part of the garden. With a strand of lights or a solar bulb, they awaken again, not only illuminating the dark, but also shaping it into something tender and inviting. To create such glow is to remind ourselves that wonder isn't costly. It lives in the small gestures, the choice to hang a jar, to string a wire, to let a crystal refract a hidden bulb. And in return, the garden gives us back nights filled with warmth, color, and quiet magic. There are places in the garden where time slows, where scale shifts, and where wonder reveals itself in the smallest of details. These miniature garden worlds don't command attention with size, but with the delicate invitation to look closer, to notice the quiet stories hidden in corners. On a wooden table, a mason jar sits quietly, yet inside it holds an entire scene. Pebbles form a winding path, moss spreads like a forest floor, and a cork chair rests beside a tiny leaf table. Sunlight finds its way through the glass, catching on the green and stone until the whole jar glows like a memory made visible. It feels less like decor and more like a secret world caught mid-breath. Beneath the canopy of ferns, a village takes shape among the moss. Twig houses lean with crooked charm, pathways paved with pebbles wind between them, and scattered crystals gleam like morning dew. The space feels hushed, as if waiting for footsteps too light for human ears. Afternoon light slips through, painting the houses gold for just a moment before shadows return. It is easy to believe that if you look away, someone small might step outside and close the tiny door behind them. On a shelf outdoors, a glass dome cradles another story. Inside, bark and stone form the base for a tea table made of acorn caps. Around it, moss spreads like a rug, while polished stones glimmer like lanterns. The evening light outside gives the scene a golden warmth, a fleeting glow that turns even the simplest details into enchantment. The beauty of these airy miniature worlds lies not in their perfection but in their suggestion. They do not try to recreate reality, but to hint at it, to remind us of the magic we used to see in small things. A cork, a pebble, a scrap of bark. None of it expensive, all of it transformed by attention and care. Perhaps that is why these worlds feel so healing. They bring back a sense of play, a gentleness often lost in the rush of days. And when you kneel to see them closely, you find that the garden is not only vast but infinite, even in the smallest corners. There is a quiet magic in holding an entire world within glass. A terrarium is more than a container. It is a story condensed, a landscape captured in stillness, reminding us that even the smallest places can hold vast beauty. On a simple bench, a mason jar carries its secret softly. Inside, layers of sand and soil pressed together like pages of a book, with charcoal resting beneath to keep the world fresh. An air plant rises gently from the center, its leaves curling upward as though reaching for the light beyond the glass. Pebbles placed at its base anchor the scene, grounding this tiny universe in calm simplicity. Morning light streams across, and suddenly the jar feels alive, glowing with an energy both fragile and enduring. In a larger jar once meant to hold cookies, another kind of story unfolds. Moss spreads thick and green, a living carpet that cushions painted mushrooms and pastel stones. A fairy figurine waits among them, wings frozen in mid-motion. Afternoon light filters through trees above, turning the glass into a lantern of whimsy. This is not a craft. It is a daydream, shaped with soil and imagination, waiting for eyes that still believe in small enchantments. And high above, swaying gently in macrame cords, a glass bowl becomes a pendant of life. Inside, driftwood leans like an arch, ferns curl into soft patterns, and a succulent rests contentedly. Sunlight glints off the bowl, sending quick flashes across nearby leaves. In the breeze, it turns slowly, each angle revealing another part of its tiny landscape. Terrariums are forgiving creations. They ask for little care but give back atmosphere, peace, and wonder in return. They fit on windowsills, desks, or corners of the garden, wherever a moment of stillness is needed. Building them is less about precision and more about feeling. The choice of a stone here, a piece of moss there, each placement a brushstroke on nature's canvas. To craft a terrarium is to create a pause, a reminder that beauty doesn't always need to be expansive. Sometimes it fits in the palm of your hand. And when you lean close, you may find yourself not just looking at plants in glass, but stepping, in spirit, into the small world they hold. Sometimes, the simplest transformations bring the deepest joy. An old ladder, once built to reach ceilings and rooftops, can find a gentler purpose when placed in a garden. Leaning against a wall or standing proudly on its own, it becomes not just a tool, but a stage for life to climb again. At the edge of a fence, a weathered ladder holds rows of terracotta pots. Basil stretches upward with eager leaves, mint spills over the rims in fragrant cascades, and parsley fills the air with its fresh, green presence. The wood beneath is cracked and faded, yet it seems stronger than ever now, carrying not weight but growth. In the morning light, the herbs glow like a promise, humble, useful, and alive. Against a brick wall, another ladder stands taller, its steps filled with wooden crates brimming with rosemary, thyme, and lavender. The scent is enough to transform the air itself, turning an ordinary corner into a fragrant retreat. The ladder looks like a shelf crafted by time, each step a new layer of flavor waiting for the kitchen. Afternoon sun slips across the bricks, warming the colors of plant and wood alike, until the whole display feels timeless. And then, in a smaller backyard, a pastel-painted ladder brightens a shadowed corner. From its rungs hang recycled tin cans, each planted with dill, oregano, and chives. The paint may be chipped, the cans dented, but together they create a vertical garden that feels both playful and practical. Evening light washes over it all, casting golden shadows and turning the ladder into something almost sculptural. The beauty of ladder gardens lies in their adaptability. They make space where there is little, lifting herbs into the air and within easy reach. They bring fragrance close to the hands, taste close to the kitchen, and charm to the eyes. Building one does not require perfection. It requires only the willingness to see an old ladder as something more. And so, step by step, the ladder climbs again. Not toward ceilings or rooftops, but toward the simple magic of green leaves, fresh herbs, and a garden that grows upward as much as it grows outward. Some gardens speak not only with plants and soil, but with light itself, caught, reflected, and scattered into patterns that turn ordinary corners into places of wonder. Reflective garden art is not about grandeur. It is about noticing how sunlight, mirrors, and imagination can join to create beauty that moves with every hour of the day. Above a flower bed, strings of painted CDs dangle lightly. Their surfaces catch the morning sun, sending playful rainbows darting across the petals of pansies below. Each shimmer feels alive, like brushstrokes of color laid down by the wind. What once lay forgotten in drawers now dances with purpose, transforming a patch of blooms into a living kaleidoscope. In another corner, a mirror leans quietly against a wooden fence. Its frame, crafted from driftwood and tangled vines, feels as though it grew there naturally. Looking into it, the garden doubles. The marigolds, the sky, even the trees appear twice, creating an illusion of depth that pulls the eye further in. Afternoon light slips across the glass, blurring the boundary between reflection and reality until both feel part of the same story. On a stone wall, shards of mirror form a mosaic, spiraling in imperfect but intentional swirls. As golden hour arrives, The light bends across the pieces, scattering beams like confetti onto lavender and daisies below. The wall no longer feels static. It moves, it sparkles, it lives. Each broken piece finds its voice, together creating something whole and full of spirit. Reflective art in the garden is not about perfection, but about perspective. A CD, a piece of glass, a weathered mirror. All of them can take on new life when placed where the sun can find them. They invite us to see the garden not only for what it holds, but for how it changes, how it shifts with every passing cloud and hour. And when the light plays across these surfaces, we are reminded that beauty often comes from what we overlook. The broken, the discarded, the simple, each holds the potential to shimmer again, to reflect not just sunlight, but the quiet joy of noticing. Every garden needs a threshold, a place that signals you are stepping into something different, something alive with intention. For some, this threshold is marked not by stone or wood, but by wheels, old bicycle wheels that once carried motion now standing still, transformed into arches that guide the way. At the entrance of a small path, two wheels lean toward each other, their spokes laced with morning glory vines. The flowers climb eagerly, pinks and purples spilling between the lines of rusted metal. The morning light glimmers through the gaps, turning the arch into a living window. What was once a circle of speed has become a frame for stillness, inviting all who pass to slow down and notice. Further in, a series of wheels have been welded side by side, forming a tunnel that bends gracefully over a gravel walkway. Ivy weaves naturally through the frames, and roses cling to the edges, their blooms like lanterns glowing in the afternoon sun. Walking through feels less like crossing a garden and more like entering a secret passage, where each step deepens the sense of wonder. The wheels, imperfect and worn, carry the elegance of memory. They remind us that even things built for motion can find beauty in pause. In a quiet backyard corner, a collection of mismatched wheels forms a curved trellis. Some large, some small. Together they create an arch alive with hanging pots. Succulents nestle into their recycled containers. Petunias spill over in bright cascades. As evening light stretches across, shadows of spokes and vines intertwine, painting the ground with fleeting patterns. Bicycle wheel arches are more than structures. They are symbols. They speak of journeys once taken, of motion repurposed, of time reshaped into something enduring. They ask us to see beyond what something was and imagine what it can become. And as you walk beneath them, surrounded by flowers and shadows, you may feel it too. The sense that gardens are not only about growth, but about transformation. That even rust, even age, can bend gracefully into beauty, framing paths that lead us deeper into wonder. A garden path is never just a way forward. It is an invitation, a guide, and sometimes a story laid out beneath your feet. With each step, a walkway can whisper memories, hold fragments of color, or carry the delicate imprint of nature itself. In the soft light of morning, a trail of stepping stones reveals fern fronds and maple leaves pressed forever into concrete. Their veins and edges captured like fossils, delicate yet enduring. Moss grows around them, softening the edges until each stone feels as though it was born of the forest floor. Walking here is not just movement, it is communion, each step a gentle pause to honor the trees above. Further along, a walkway bursts into color, made not from stone but from bottle caps and glass marbles set into cement. Circles and stars dance across the surface, glinting under the afternoon sun. Children laugh as they follow the patterns, toes tracing shapes that sparkle with playful joy. This path is not only a route, it is a ribbon of delight, stitched together with the overlooked treasures of yesterday. As the day drifts toward evening, another path glows softly in mosaic shimmer. Broken china pieces, smooth river glass, and tiny mirror shards are pressed into stones that curve through marigolds and clover. Golden light stretches long, catching each reflective surface until the walkway sparkles like stardust scattered across the ground. Here, the ordinary act of walking feels like crossing into a dream. The beauty of whimsical walkways lies in their intimacy. They are made by hand, shaped with imagination, and grounded in the desire to transform the act of walking into something poetic. Each stone can hold a memory of a leaf pressed on a quiet morning, of a bottle cap once discarded, of a dish once broken and reborn. To step on these paths is to remember that even the smallest fragments of life can be pieced together into journeys worth taking. And when the light catches just right, the walkway doesn't just lead you forward. It reminds you that every step in a garden can be part of a story, one written not only with soil and stone, but with care and wonder. There is a poetry in furniture too old to carry weight but too beautiful to discard. Chairs, benches, and wicker seats that once held quiet conversations indoors can find a second life outdoors, where weather and greenery embrace them in new ways. In the garden, their purpose shifts. They no longer wait for people but for flowers. Along a winding path, a wooden chair sits with dignity, its missing seat replaced by a basket overflowing with daisies and lavender. The flowers spill gently over the edges, their colors bright against the faded grain of the wood. Morning light plays across the chair, and suddenly it feels less like an object and more like a living sculpture, one that holds not bodies but blossoms. In the shade of towering sunflowers, a wicker armchair rests. Its seat, once soft with fabric, now cradles a burlap sack filled with marigolds and ivy. The contrast of golden blooms against the woven texture creates a scene that feels both rustic and intentional. The armchair seems to smile, its arms wide, holding not guests but greenery. Afternoon warmth lingers here, making the whole corner feel like a story left open on a summer page. Beneath a blooming apple tree, a pastel-painted bench takes on a gentler roll. On its seat sits a wire basket of herbs, mint, thyme, rosemary, each plant releasing fragrance into the air as petals from the tree drift down. A vintage watering can leans against one leg, as though waiting for the gardener to return. Evening light stretches long, wrapping the scene in golden calm. The beauty of vintage furniture decor lies not in perfection, but in transformation. Cracks, frayed edges, fading paint. These details don't diminish their charm, they deepen it. When paired with plants, they create a harmony between what was once human-made and what is endlessly natural. To place such furniture in a garden is to write a new chapter for it, one where usefulness is not about weight but about presence. They remind us that beauty often comes from what is aged, that stories do not end when something breaks or wears thin. In the garden, time-worn pieces bloom again, quietly, gracefully, endlessly. There is a quiet magic in giving forgotten kitchenware a second life outdoors. Teacups once chipped, mugs long mismatched, teapots rusted from age. Objects that once held warmth in kitchens can now carry it again, this time in the form of soil, roots, and blooms. On a mossy wall, chipped ceramic teacups rest like tiny nests. Each one cradles succulents and ivy, their green spilling over faded floral patterns. The imperfections of the cups only deepen their charm. Each crack a line in their story, each flower a new beginning. Sunlight glances across the glossy leaves, making the wall feel less like stone and more like a gallery of living art. A vintage teapot, its surface dulled with time, sits proudly on a wooden crate. From its spout tumbles greenery, as though the pot itself had decided to pour out life instead of tea. Around it, marigolds and lavender weave color and fragrance, framing the teapot in an aura of warmth. In the afternoon glow, it becomes less an object and more a character. A keeper of blossoms, a storyteller among flowers. High above, mugs and enamel cups dangle from a tree branch, tied with twine. Each cup cradles herbs or pansies, swaying gently whenever the wind moves. Their simple shapes catch the evening light as it filters through the leaves, shadows dancing on the soil below. The cups no longer sit quietly in cupboards. They move, they breathe, they live with the garden. Repurposing kitchenware planters is not about chasing perfection. It is about noticing possibility. A chipped rim does not erase beauty. A worn surface does not end usefulness. In the garden, these pieces become vessels of imagination, their history blending with the freshness of new growth. And when you walk past them, you might smile, not just because they look beautiful, but because they remind you that nothing truly loses its purpose. A cup can hold warmth again. A teapot can pour joy again. A garden can bloom with the stories of yesterday carried tenderly into today. And so, as the light fades and the final petals close for the evening, our journey through these simple creations comes to a gentle pause. What began as scraps, as forgotten objects tucked away in drawers or leaning against old fences, has shown us how much beauty waits to be found in the ordinary. Every chair that blooms again, every jar that carries a tiny world, every path made from broken pieces. Together they remind us that a garden is not only made of soil and seed. It is also shaped by imagination, patience, and care. Here at TERAFLORA Studio, we hold close the belief that creativity is not reserved for experts, nor limited by money or space. It is something each of us can practice quietly and tenderly with whatever is already in our hands. These projects are not about perfection, they are about presence. They are about pausing long enough to notice what could be and daring to give it new life. If you have found calm here, or if one small idea has stirred a spark within you, I invite you, gently, warmly, to subscribe to this channel. Each subscription is not just a number. It is a companion on this journey, a shared step in keeping this dream alive. With every click, you help ensure that this space continues to grow, offering more stories, more inspiration, and more quiet beauty for you to carry into your own garden. Thank you for being here, for listening, for seeing not only with your eyes but also with your heart. May your days ahead be soft with wonder, and may your garden, whatever its size, become a place where forgotten things bloom again. Until next time, from all of us at TERAFLORA Studio, may you always find beauty close at hand.